If a unit pumps down, it's the TXV. If a unit pumps down, it's the TXV. It pumps down to the ground. It's the daggone TXV. If a unit freezes up, it's a good man. If a unit freezes up, it's a good man. They say all brands do it, but man, screw it. It's my song, so it's a good man. Words of wisdom from a super tech. I will teach you about my red flags and measure quick. Teachers teach about superheat, but do they teach you at which Arby's to eat? I do. If the fan won't move, it's the bearing. If the fan won't move, it's the bearing. It may be sleeve or it may be ball, but it's daggone, it's sure the bearing. If the suction line's hot, just add gas. If the suction line's hot, just add gas. The superheat's high as the sky, so you better add gas. If the compressor breaker is tripped, then it's grounded. If the compressor breaker's tripped, that old sucker's grounded. So don't hold that breaker closed from experience. Words of wisdom from a super tech. I can teach you about my red flags and measure quick. Teachers teach about superheat, but none of them know the best Arby's to eat at. But I do. That's why you listen to me, because I do.
My name is Zack, and this is the HVAC Fake News. SalesCo has released their list of wonderful ways to sell HVAC equipment to all sorts of homeowners, ranging from the intelligent to the dim-witted, and I'm going to give you that list here tonight. Number 1, make sure to carry plenty of color pamphlets, trifold pamphlets if you really want to sell, with beautiful pictures of equipment and often beautiful pictures of families looking at that equipment, thus proving the fact that your equipment is beloved by all families. Number 2, don't forget to give bold predictions on how much money they'll save, despite knowing that any repair in the newer equipment will cost 3 times more than the old equipment cost in its entirety. Make sure not to dwell on that, but dwell on that first day perception of savings. If points number 1 and number 2 don't seal the deal, make sure to emphasize how all other companies sell machines that cause stachybotrys black mold. There's not a single other company besides yours that will not sell them a black mold machine. If point number 3 doesn't work, go to point number 4. Emphasize the fact that if you don't make a sale and earn some commission, your wife is really going to leave you this time. And if all else fails and you have considered all your options and accepted defeat, make sure to pull out the disconnect and throw it into a nearby river while you leave. In amazing equipment news, Goodman is now releasing their brand new propane-driven Castle Bravo unit. It runs on environmentally friendly R290 refrigerant, and it is their boldest unit as of this date. The new Castle Bravo unit is extremely eco-friendly because of the R290 refrigerant, and also because if you ever have a leak, the crater that forms after the explosion, once it rains, can be classified as a wetland. Texas is now implementing a brand new program called Don't Mess With Our R454B in Texas. Now, every time you purchase a cylinder of R454B refrigerant, because of its high cost, you will also receive a sidearm. The sidearm can be issued to your apprentice, who will guard the van during every service call while the lead technician performs all the repairs. Texas is also weighing an option where 2 handguns are given so the apprentice can use 2 handguns at one time, or each technician can have one if the apprentice needs backup. To help with the language barrier between a technician and a homeowner and just a technician and to another technician, we have now deciphered these euphemisms for 2025. If a tech is down in the crawl space sleeping, you don't say he's sleeping. You say he is testing the long-term effects of crawl space air. If you are a tech who likes to leave that box around the run capacitor when you install it, don't worry about that. You're not leaving a run cap like a run cap bandit. You're in fact adding a layer of electrical insulation around each run cap installed. As a technician, have you ever taken guff about leaving the wires sticking out of a condenser fan grill because you didn't feel like taking the top off in case you got the rotation wrong? Well, you didn't do anything wrong. In fact, now you are just giving the next technician a good electrical access zone to repair that condenser. And don't worry, in the future, if your boss decides that you can't talk to a customer inside their air-conditioned house for 2 hours on a hot summer's day, you're not wasting time. You're just improving customer relations, and that's a good thing to do. My name is Zack, and this was the HVAC Fake News. Welcome back to the best show on the internet called HVAC Shop Talk. My name is Zack. I'm here to guide you through this next ever so much time so we can enjoy ourselves and reminisce about trade things and look at tool stuff and talk amongst ourselves. But like every show, I'm going to start off and we're going to talk about who's in the chat tonight. And I see that we have Canon Casey, probably itching to call in on the phone if I had to guess. Jonathan Ortiz says hello. Hello, Jonathan. Jessica Egan. What's up, Jessica? Everything HVAC Aura. What up? We also have, let me look, East Coast saying that all you need is channel lock, multimeter, and a case of capacitors, and let's see, contractors and a big pocket. I guess that's the only tools you require on the job site. And then Tiki Flamingo Chicken. Wonderful name, by the way. Tiki Flamingo Chicken says ventilated seat cover on Amazon, $100 and worth every penny. I did not know about that, but while the whole opening was going on, I went ahead and found it on Amazon because that's where I brought up all the other tools that we're looking at. So we can look at that too. Let's see, we have Thomas Leck. We like to call him T-Leck of Leck Air Conditioning. See, Cannon's already calling, I think. Cannon, why are you already calling? You got to wait. Show just started. Come on, Cannon. I'll send you a voicemail. Don't take it personally or nothing. But got to at least give me a minute here to get started, Cannon. You're so overeager, like a teenager. Got a new iPhone and the button's different. There we go. Nope, that's not right. Got to turn silent mode on. What's going on here? Well, there we go. All right. You don't just flick a switch now. You have to hold the button down. So I got to tame Cannon for a second because we need to talk for a minute before we take any phone calls, which we might take some phone calls from you guys. If you want to call in, you just put it down in the chat. Say, I'd love to call in and talk about HVAC stuff or tools or whatever. Jessica said, my favorite tool that I have that I didn't know I needed is a washing machine hose. Now, I don't know what that's all about, but she says, it's my drain line cleaner, cut in half, add a bit of electrical tape to keep it from backflowing, and then attach it to my hose. That works good. Hey, everybody that has those sort of hacks right there, that's what you got to develop over time. You develop those hacks. You got the little hoses. Like, I hacked up some stuff today, actually. there was two things. I don't know if Kangaroo's going to be here tonight. Kangaroo, I remember going back and forth with him and telling him, let me just lay the groundwork for this. This goes back years and years. Years ago, I had to clean the contacts on my pump relay. Live out in the country. We have a pump. We don't have city water. So we have a little pump house. We have a pump inside. Then there's a well. So there's a little relay. We call it the 4060 because it, clicks on at 40 PSI, clicks off at 60 PSI. So whenever the water pressure gets lower, of course, it kicks on and runs it back up to 60. Of course, my relay was worn out. It had a bunch of carbon buildup. It's like a contactor that any one of you would have changed the first time you saw it. But me, I'm like, I'm just going to clean the contacts a little bit. It'll be fine. So a few years go by and time goes by. And now, or not now, but recently I've had to hit it with a stick. Not cleaning the contacts anymore. It's really hard to get to. I'm redesigning the pump house slowly over the next 10 years. It's really hard to get to this particular relay without just sawing the pump house in half, which I finally sort of did. And I didn't feel like going to it. But if I tap on it with a stick, it would make contact or release, whichever one I needed to do. Because if it just ran nonstop, like, contactor would stick closed and the unit would keep running, freeze up, and then it gets really bad. I just hit it with a stick for a while. Now, that goes on for a while. Kangaroo would be very unimpressed with this. He's like, well, I should have changed it out like 3 years ago. But I finally changed the thing out, and it's like such an amazing feat now. I don't have to go hit the pump relay with a stick any longer. And it's just, that's how I roll, guys. I wait 3 years to change out a relay. I should have done the day I found it bad, instead of cleaning any contacts. And what happened was I didn't just, decide to go out there and fix it. No, it had to fall apart. The contact actually fell off. So if you've seen a contactor, you see the little circular contacts that stick together and creates a circuit. Well, one of the little contacts just fell all the way off. So there's nothing else I could do. I could hit it with a stick until the stick broke in half. It wouldn't have mattered. So I fixed that finally. And I hope Kangaroo watches this later and he can see that I did just a wonderful thing for my family. Let's see. Ken Casey says a 1/4 inch and 5/16 dual-ended ratcheting wrench. That's a good idea. I think I had one of those actually. Great tool. Wonderful tool. I'm going to extend this over. Let's see how much sound it makes. Hopefully not too much. All right. And I'm going to turn this up slightly. Dangerous territory we're in now. Okay, so we have a whole bunch of tools to look at. Guys, we're going to go over whatever. I also wrote here, see, I wrote outdoor relay, washing machine. It's not a washing machine. It was a dishwasher. I don't know what that is. And then there's seat cover. Seat cover was Tiki Flamingo Chicken's idea, but we're going to look at that. Now, when I say dishwasher, I'm just saying that along with that pump thing, when you're an HVAC service tech, you get a certain set of skills that's applicable throughout other parts of your life. Sometimes you can fix your car. I put refrigerant in my son's car. It's actually not any training. Anyone could do that buys a little kit and they're like pump it up to where it's in the green. It's funny. It's like something that you never would think that any one of us would do, but it's just pretty easy to do. But you can often fix things around the house. So our dishwasher broke. I didn't feel like getting a brand new circuit board for the dishwasher, which is what was broken. And, dishwasher circuit board costs the same as like a whole dishwasher. And then my wife keenly looks at Facebook Marketplace 50% of the time she's awake. And she found this dishwasher. It was like, we're getting rid of it. We got a new one. And we went and picked this dishwasher up. It was free. And it was a Samsung. It's stainless steel. And it's just a very nice dishwasher. And plugged it up, wired it in, as we know how to do because we're service techs. And wiring is easy. A lot of people are like, I can't wire something up, but wiring's really easy. Black, white, ground. It's not hard. We should not pretend it's hard. It's not hard. And then hook up the drain and the water. Water screwed right in. The drain took a little bit of an adapter I created myself. Let's not go too far into that. And works like a champ now. It's fantastic. Sam Andrews asking, what East Coast, what is a BFH? I don't think you want to know the answer to that. You don't want to know the answer to that. If it's the hammer I'm thinking about, it's for reversing valves. So you just don't want to know about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start on this list, okay? And maybe in a minute, we could have a call And we can talk about some of the finest tools in the world here. You might laugh at this, but this is a fine tool. Okay, I don't want to hear nothing about holding up for podcast purposes, a hyper tough 12-volt drill. The thing is actually really nice, and I would not have minded using that as a service tech at all. It's been a pretty durable drill, actually, surprisingly enough. So let's go over to Amazon, and I'm sure some of you guys have these same things. We'll check them out. Yep, it's because this thing cut off my audio when I switched scenes. So the audio is back on now. I'll just repeat everything I just said. But thank you. Now I'll need to know that for every stinking time I switch to this thing. Oh, well, that's streaming. So just say you can hear me now, and I will go on with this great conversation which I was having before. You guys should have heard all the important stuff I said that you missed. It happens every time. So just let me know you can hear me, and I will proceed. We're talking about the cheater cord. All right, got you back. All right. The streaming software screwed me, guys. Okay, we'll blame that. It wasn't my fault. It wasn't me. So I was reading this title. I'm going to read it again because I just love the titles on Amazon. HVAC tools kit accessory for circuit breaker finder, vacuum pump, AC gauges, clearance, and equipment compatible with Yellow Jacket. That is the name of this particular cheater cord. That's what we called it, a cheater cord. This cord is used whenever you go to a unit that doesn't have an outdoor receptacle. You need to run your vacuum pump. Maybe you need to run a recovery machine. That's right, the suicide cord. I love that. Yes, they are not the safest thing in the world, for sure, but it can get you out of a little jam sometimes. I like that. Yeah, they're not. It's better to find an outdoor receptacle, but I've used these many times. And I've used them. It says it goes up to 30 amps. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'd want to run a 30 amp on a 14 gauge cheater cord. I don't know about that, but they come in real handy here. Let's look at some of these pictures. These lovely pictures. It says UL listed, 14 gauge. I don't know about running 30 amps through 14 gauge for a while. I don't think it'd be the end of the world briefly, but not for a long time. It says it's made with thickened rubber. Okay. And let's see, blah, blah, blah. Shows it, working, shows a picture of it working somehow on the vacuum pump. So it's good. And it's next to an American Standard unit. So if it's next to American Standard unit, I think it's going to be pretty good. I mean, it's approved by American Standard, basically. That is in no way true. I like it has a picture. Now, this is more what I'm used to working on here. This would be like the old units with the disconnects that are just about to fall apart and rust apart. That's where this thing really thrives, where you're in a rusted disconnect, rooting around with these alligator clips to try to grab onto some bare section of wire. Because on some of these disconnects, there's nothing there to grab onto. You're trying your best to kind of wiggle it around in there. So it's not always perfect, but a lot of times you can make it work. So that's the most dangerous of the things that I'm going to talk about here today. We're going to go back to the cart, and I'll go to the next one here. Here's one that I think everybody should have, that I think a lot of people probably do have. These are the little alligator clip test leads where you take and you'll jump off R to Y to run your compressor, R to green to run the fan, and you can troubleshoot a bunch of stuff with these little cables. They're really cheap. As you can see, they're only $5.99, so they're really easy to buy. and they come in really handy. Now, some of you might use the little magnetic ones, which are cool as well. I like the magnetic ones. I only used those like a couple times though, so didn't really get into those. These little things I'd carry around all the time, and I'd still use them around the house. They come in pretty handy for working on low voltage stuff. So I love those. I think a lot of people probably already have those. So I'm going to kind of go quickly through these. I don't think there's anything special about these besides it says how long they are and stuff, and you can get all different kinds from all different manufacturers. This is WGGE, which is some kind of Amazon company. So I don't think they're probably the leading manufacturer of these. Now, this is something here that, I was really excited about this because I got this for Christmas, something like this. This is the Sweetful, again, Amazon names, guys, portable neck fan, 360 degrees, cooling, bladeless personal fan. No hair twisting. Hey, no hair twisting like the previous models. Remember how those previous models would twist your hair? Now, guys, has anyone used one of these? Because I would like to hear someone in the chat say if they've used one of these before I tell you what mine was like. I'm just curious because they're everywhere. It's one of them things where if one of them comes out, then 50 companies come out with the same thing, or 500 companies. I'll go over to the chat. We'll see chat things here. We got Randy in the chat here now. Says, my wife can leave me if she wants. That just means more money in my pocket. There you go. That's looking on the bright side. And we have, let's see, Sam Andrews says, East Coast, is that on your short list? Ted never carries a hammer with his toys. So Ted is the gold standard for if you're going to carry 3 tools to every job, because I guess because he's famous for it. He has, I forget what 3 tools there are. Probably, I don't know, a stick, the eye manifold. I don't know. I don't remember. Well, let's see here. My wife has one that is like a little box on a necklace. It works well. Okay, got to see the chat here. Let me move it over a little bit so I can see it a little bit better. Here we go. All right, that's a little better. Nope, I don't need a full-size screen, chat. You got to be very careful when dragging your chat. I got one of these for Christmas. I didn't try it right away, but recently I've been mowing, and it's like 95 degrees outside, and it's awful. And I'll just kind of, let me go back to the other screen for a second. You know what? If I go back to the other screen, it's going to end up being mute when I come back here. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm going to keep talking. I put this thing on. It is not for people with ample beards. If you have a nice, luscious beard, and that's the right word, it's a luscious beard, it really blocks most of the airflow that these things put out, or at least that mine put out. So it was unfortunate that it really won't make any difference for me until I shave, because it wasn't getting through this filter media on my face. I like this. Tiki Flamingo Chicken says 12-feet seat vented seat pad is the cure to swampy undies. Well, anyone who works in the trade knows that swampy undies are a big problem. They're a big problem, and you don't want that. And I put it on the list here, Tiki Chicken. So I'm not trimming the beard. No, I do trim it a little bit to get all the stray hairs, but I mean, I'd have to trim it significantly for this thing to work. HVAC Tech Wannabe says, I did use one. Downside is the battery didn't last long. I don't know how long the battery lasts because I couldn't finish mine. I couldn't use it because of my luscious beard, which is a problem for me. Too much luscious beard. So I'm going to skip to the next one, guys. I'm sure it'll work for somebody who has no facial hair. It'd probably be the best thing they've ever had. Now, this one's just kind of something that I threw on there because it comes in handy. I think everybody probably uses these. These are little telescoping mirrors and little magnet deals. They come in really handy. You ever drop something in the condenser like a screw? It's at the bottom and you have to take the grill off to get to that? That is like the worst feeling in the world. I don't know why. It's just one of them things that are extremely annoying. So if you have something, then reach down there and grab that 5/16 screw from the bottom of a condenser. That's a wonderful thing. And that will save your life, and that will make you much happier, because those little things like that, when you got to open up a condenser again, that's what leads to stress and depression and mental illness. So you don't want that. So you need to get this magnetic little deal to pick up screws at the bottom of the condenser. Plus, you got to have those little mirrors when you're brazing. I don't know anyone who brazes that doesn't have a mirror with the brazing rig. You almost have to have a mirror to see on the backside of some of these things because you can't get your head in there to see. You can wish for the best. Wish for the best doesn't work out. Wishing for the best is why service techs go back to installers and go, there was 50 leaks in your line set. That's what wishing for the best gets you. Craig finally made it home. Time to finish up dinner. All right, just finish up dinner. You guys come sit in front of the TV and watch this thing. Cannon says, I don't use my phone camera. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. So everybody needs to get these suckers. They're good for you. Make your life better. All right, going to these next ones here. Is this the Midwest Aviation snip set? Midwest Aviation snip set, left and right cut offset, 10 cutting shears with forged blade and cushion power. I don't know what that's all about. But Midwest, to me, is the best snip that you can buy. Now, if you have a different snip that you prefer or you think is better, then you can put it in the chat. But I think Midwest makes the finest snip. Now, I believe Ralph and I used to agree on this, and Ralph was a sheet metal guy. Okay, I did a lot of sheet metal, but Ralph did more than I did. And he said Midwest was the best. So, I mean, two people can't be wrong. I don't think so. Cannon says he doesn't use the mirror, he uses his phone camera. I don't know about that. Tiki Flamingo Chicken says, I picked up a thermal camera this week. No, it would be a problem. Going back to Canon, it would be a problem using your phone camera. What if, you had like, I don't know, something fell on your phone while you're trying to reach it back there? Because phones are sensitive. I'd be worried about breaking my phone doing that stuff, trying to hold it in there behind something. I mean, you can do it, but I think I'd rather have the mirror because all those mirrors get broken. You ever notice there's always a crack down the center of them? Every single one of mine had a crack down the center. So I hate for that to be my phone. HVAC Tech Wannabe says Midwest for the win. That's what I'm talking about. Just if you're looking for snips, that's what I would suggest because they're not as expensive as other snips. These are $53. That's the most I've ever seen them for, actually. But Malco, brands like that always cost more. And Malco's good stuff, but I think Midwest in the snip category is number one. Let's do one more of these bad boys before we'll take a break and come back to the other screen. I'm going to have to remember that I'm going to turn the sound back on. We'll do that. Something I thought was fantastic are these Fluke. This is the Fluke TL223-1 SureGrip electrical test lead set with SureGrip isolated test probes. Now, these leads are just the best leads. They tend to stay free from tangling. The little alligator clips, I don't know alligator clips, these plunger leads. If you can imagine here, if you're listening on the podcast, these plunger leads that you use to hook onto these lugs and stuff, these Fluke ones are the best. They cost more than some multimeters or like 5 multimeters on Amazon. The price here is $101. I think I used to pay $80 for them. It probably is $101 now because of inflation. I bought mine years ago. These have always been my favorite leads, no matter what multimeter I had. I use field piece. I love field piece, but I always got these Fluke leads because they are the best. Brandon Bernie says, what did I miss? I just got here. Brandon, we're talking about different tools. Just these odd tools you might not think about that you could use in your HVAC career. And I will say, guys, since we're tuned in here, it's been a few minutes here since we started. I'm going to tell you that tonight we are going to try to give something away. Okay, I used to have fun giving stuff away, and I'm going to start doing that again. We're going to start having a good time on this show like the good old days and have a good old fun time. So tune in. We're going to start small and work up to it. So you missed the widower maker. I don't know, widower maker. You missed so much, man. That's what they say. Well, that's why you get the mirrored metal and not the mirror. Yeah, that's a smart idea. I don't even know what the mirrored metal is. I didn't know that was available. See, Jessica's helping out here too. Let's go. Let's do one more because they already saw it. This is Supco. So this is not my favorite tool to use for this, but if you are carrying something and you want a quick idea of what condition a motor is in, chiefly we're using this for compressors. And what this is called a megohmmeter or megger, where you're testing how bad the windings are in a compressor, basically how apt they are to leak electricity to ground. And once they get really bad, the Supco is really nice because I'll bring it up here. it actually has a little light that says bad for below 20 mega ohms. Now, we'll come back to why I think that's a little bit of a problem. It has caution lights, so it lets you know when the motor's fine, chiefly the compressor, like I'm saying. It goes all the way back to yellow lights and then to a red light. So you get a good idea, and it's something you can show somebody. Like if the homeowner's there, you can say, hey, see, this says bad. You have a bad compressor. Now, my thing is that you can have a compressor that will run well below 20 mega ohms before it trips any breakers. Now, I've seen, when I measured, I'm trying to remember, it's hard to remember all of them, but you can get down to just a few thousand ohms before it trips a breaker. So 20 mega ohms, of course, millions. It's a kind of a high starting point, but it is, I guess, it's preventative in nature. It's telling you that something is going bad. It's supposed to be much higher than that. It can be an indicator that there's acid in the compressor, but at the very least, you know that something is, headed in the wrong direction. I like a megohmmeter that has an actual reading on it, like a digital reading. But for showing somebody stuff and for just keeping something really simple, low cost with you, I mean, I don't see any problem with this. It's a good way to start if it's either this or nothing. Let's see here. Jessica says, let me see what they got going. Disconnect the thermostat wire on both ends and use that to see if the thermostat wire will allow communication or you'll have communication errors. I think that's part of a different discussion. Calls those pure junk and scammy. No, they're not pure junk and scammy. They're not scammy. What they are is they give you an idea if something is going bad, but just because that red light comes up, it doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it won't run any longer. I think that's the issue with it. That's why I wanted a different one personally. But if it's either this or nothing, I think having this is definitely a good thing because you have an indicator of, if you have a compressor that shows bad on this thing, then the next thing I would do is probably test it for acid. If it has no acid in it, then you can predict that it is going to go bad. It's going to eventually go to ground, and you can make the people aware of it. Now, if it's running just fine, it's going to be hard to convince them to change anything, but at least they'll have an indicator that when it does fail, say, all right, this guy was telling me that there's a problem coming up. So I think this tool has its place. For me personally, I'd rather have one with the digital readout. And I don't think there's anything wrong with this. You just got to be aware of what it is, what it tells you, and what it kind of leaves out. So I don't think that's too bad. I definitely don't think it's scammy. No, I wouldn't call it scammy, but it's just like a basic, really basic megohmmeter. Just really basic, guys. It's just really basic. That's all. It's just really basic. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break for a second. I'm going to play. I have a little clip of some fun stuff I did back in the day. It was called Quick Shots. I don't know. It was kind of funny to make it. We have our sponsors, Supply House and Yellow Jacket. Make sure you support those guys if you can. Supply House has a bunch of great products out there, like a zillion products you can get for HVAC, plumbing, electrical, all sorts of stuff. And of course, Yellow Jacket's been making great tools since the dawn of time. They should let me make those ads like that. Yellow Jacket's made great tools since the dawn of time. That sounds good. I'm gonna pitch them that, see if they'll do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run that, and I'll be back in just a moment. Hopefully I can fix that thing so I won't be muted when I go back to Amazon. So stick around. See you on the flip side. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Supply House is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fastest shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. The Yellow Jacket Titan Max digital manifold provides the easiest path to system measurements. This 4-valve manifold provides fast and accurate measurements for refrigeration and AC systems. The high-resolution backlit touchscreen display erases the need for multifunction buttons and provides clear graphical and digital measurements. It also features internal data logging, Connect via Bluetooth to the WideJack View app or MeasureQuick app for further analysis. Visit yellowjacket.com for more information. How are HVAC working conditions?
200 degrees in sunlight, minus 200 in the shade, canyons of razor-sharp rock, unpredictable gravitational conditions, unexpected eruptions, things like that.
Okay, so the scariest environment imaginable. Thanks. That's all you gotta say. Scariest environment imaginable.
How do experienced techs solve problems?
Please move! This is how we fix space station! Because I don't want to stay here anymore! Yeah! Finally!
HVAC techs at the beginning of the day.
Yeah, measure quick. Just no crud suck.
And then again at the end of the day. I'm ready now, God. Old tech hates young tech music.
Of a cherry, the one I gave.
Sorry.
Goodman evaporator. Day 6 after install.
Don't worry, it's Mr. Schrader.
25 days after install.
Quick, grab the leak stop, man!
New installer right before that hot attic install.
Bob, I got a bad feeling on this one, all right? I mean, I got a bad feeling. I don't think I'm gonna make it out of here. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Everybody gotta die sometime, Red.
Describing train comfort specialist to a Goodman dealer.
You don't seem to want to accept the fact that you're dealing with an expert, with a man who's the best. He's with his bare hands. A man who's been trained to ignore pain, ignore weather, to eat things that'll make a billy goat puke.
That must be a train comfort specialist for sure.
Go away!
Now back to the show. The Shop Talk Show. I just want you guys to know that I put that video on there of that bird jumping off just because I think it's funny. It's totally irrelevant and doesn't matter. So I'm actually expecting. Yes, there we are. Let's see. Let's see if this works. Hello.
Hey, how's it going, Zach?
Oh, excellent. It actually works. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm not that excited just because it works. I mean, I knew it was going to work. I was positive. So how you doing, Craig?
I'm doing all right. Tired.
Let me turn the volume down just slightly. Okay. All right. So Jessica said you were fired up. You had a passion to talk about the Supco megohmmeter, which is something I've never heard before. Someone had a passion to talk about the Supco meter. So what's the deal?
All right. I sent you some pictures.
I saw those pictures. You were testing thermostat wire.
Yes. So when you have a communicating system that has intermittent communication problems, it'll drive you insane. What I've done is that Supco, you can take all the thermostat wires apart, like we'll say at the outdoor board and at the indoor board, and then you hook it up to two thermostat wires and you push the button. If it says on and it's green, those wires are good for communication. If it's yellow and red, it won't communicate. And if it's just in the green area but not on the on, you can have intermittent communication problems. It is amazing at finding intermittent communication faults because of thermostat wire.
So you're using the Supco to test just how much resistance is in each one of these wires on, you're talking about high level systems.
Yes, on communicating systems.
Interesting. So people having, well, a lot of people have that issue, communication failure, and it's very vague. It's like, well, okay, communication failure. So how did you come up with this?
Oh, years ago, there was a guy that was talking to us about ohming everything out. It was a carrier Jim. I can't remember his name. And he talked about that Supco, and he's like, this is what you need to do. And I started So I went and bought one, and because everybody's like, it's garbage, it's crap. And I bought one and I started using it, and it works like a champ. It is one of my favorite tools on my truck.
Okay, so explain again how you're using this thing and why you're not using the multimeter, you're using the megohmmeter. Explain why.
Okay, because you can have ohms on your regular meter, and it's good for 24 volts, so it doesn't show you anything. But if you take the thermostat wires off at the outdoor board and at the indoor board, or at the indoor board and the thermostat, and you have them totally disconnected on both ends, and you just clip it to 2 different wires, and you keep going through the bundle until you can find 2 wires that are good for communication. Or if you have all bad thermostat wire and you need to replace it.
So this sounds like you're finding something that's theoretically shorted out. You're trying to prevent that.
Yes, because you're having grounding issues, and that's why you're having intermittent communication faults.
Oh man, I'm down with that. I've experienced that in my personal life, having grounding issues with the communication system. That's interesting. Okay, that's a good way to use that sucker. So I don't think it's because they were saying it's a scammy little product, and I understand why sort of they're saying that, but I think it's a good little tool for what it is what I think.
That's the only thing I use it for. But because you go to a communicating system and you have intermittent faults, man, that is one of the most. When I first started working on communicating systems, that was like that was the worst call to get. You were just like, how am I going to figure this out? It works and it don't. It works and it don't.
Yeah.
And that Subco has made it to where I never have. I get that call. I'm gonna leave with that unit either working because I found 2 good wires, or I'm going to be able to know that I need to replace the thermostat wire to make it work.
So here's my follow up to that, because I've never used it for that. So if you're talking about communicating wires, all right, you have a thermostat wire and you're measuring it and it's green, it's good. Now, when it's up in the green, you're talking about a very high resistance relative to like just measuring each end of a wire. So it doesn't take a whole lot of like you say in the yellow, it's going to have issues.
Well, even in the green, I can sometimes have intermittent issues. It has to just say on. It's like if you push it in there and you have the 2 ends apart, it'll just the on green light will show up. If it's in the yellow or red, you're going to have you're not going to really communicate at all. Sometimes in the yellow you'll get intermittent, but it's in the green bar that you can still have intermittent communication faults. You have to be able to push it and it just light up the on light.
So it's going straight off the chart. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes, if it's straight off the chart, you're going to be able to communicate. If it's anything else, you can have intermittent or no communication at all.
So the times when you find it in the yellow or the red, let's say the yellow, have you ever been able to visually see a problem with the wire?
No, because if it's going from the thermostat to the air handler, it could be in the attic. Yeah. If it's going to the outdoor unit, it could be in the chase under the ground.
I'm just wondering because if you have 40 megohms, that's a lot of resistance still. So you're talking about something that's causing interference at 40 megohms. I would think that you could even tell just by looking at it.
I never tried to look at it to find it. But sometimes you'll find that when you get in there, you'll dig it up and you'll find that somebody spliced the thermostat wire in the chase and buried it. That happens.
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
So sometimes that's what's causing it. But that the thing is with that Subco, I can always get if I can find 2 wires, I can make that thing communicate. Or I know I need to replace the thermostat wire.
I like that.
And I love that tool. There's no more guessing when it comes to intermittent communication faults, whether I got good or bad thermostat wire.
Do you carry any other megger besides that?
No.
So you don't use a megger for testing grounded compressors. You just say, hey, the thing's tripping the breaker, the sucker's grounded.
Basically I just use my stick meter from ground to the for the copper to the plug on the compressor. I unplug it, and then the leads on the inside the compressor, I'll touch it to common or to the copper. And if I got ohms, if I got numbers, it's ground.
Yeah, that sucker's bad. If that thing's going bang, it's super bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't have a regular megohmmeter. All I have is that Subco, and all I ever use it for is for communication wiring.
That's a great suggestion, because there's no way that you're going to be able to look at a wire and say that's going to be a problem, but that's probably the only way that you're going to be able to tell that's the issue. So that's really smart.
Yeah. And so when you brought that tool up, and it's like, no, it's not a crap tool. It's one of my favorite tools. Use it on a communicating system for the thermostat wire.
Correct. Throw his dinner down. It's like, I got to call in.
You got what's that?
It's like you throw your dinner down. It's like, I got to call in on this one.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was like, no, that's a great tool. That's a great tool. It's if somebody can, if it helps somebody, verify that they got good thermostat wire going from the, from the thermostat, the communicating thermostat to the indoor unit, or from the indoor unit to the outdoor unit. If you can verify you got good thermostat wire with it, then the problem's somewhere else.
Yeah.
You can always, and that is a big time saver when it comes to intermittent communication faults on a unit.
And I'll tell you what, your wife was in the chat and said your other favorite tool is the ZebraStat, which I also enjoyed.
Yes, I love the ZebraStat too. Yes.
Do they still make that?
Yes.
Do they?
As far as I know, I've had mine for 10 years.
Yeah, I bought mine a long time ago, but I don't know if they're still in business.
I can't imagine that that thing is, that one was I'm a Floridian, so I hate it when it's cold. I'll work summer all the whole time. You get below freezing, and I don't want to be out in it.
That can't be very often.
No, it's not very often, but that tool, it was a trained 2-stage package unit that was driving me nuts because it kept blowing the fuse when it was going into second stage.
Yeah.
And I busted out the ZebraStat because I bought it, and what I found is when it was going into second stage, because I thought it was in the, it was Y2, so I disconnected, and I was still blowing it. So I'm digging around in this package unit in the dark, and it's freaking cold. And I finally put the ZebraStat on it, and when you hit Y2, it wouldn't trip. It was when you hit W. So the thermostat was kicking on the electric heat with the second stage, and the contactor for the electric heat was blowing was shorted, and that was what was blowing the fuse. But I was so tunnel visioned on Y2, and I was digging in that thing, and I was freezing to death, and I was not happy because I was cold.
Yeah, I feel your pain on that. I think we had a similar issue, and what it was when the second stage come on, there was a solenoid on this big evaporator, because it was a huge 20-ton unit, and the solenoid was shorted out. So it took a while to figure everything out. But because you think about it, it's like contactors, we all go to the outdoor contactor whenever we're in residential systems, because it shorts out a lot. But sometimes it can be, couple items more rare than that.
Yeah.
Man, I like that thing too. And your wife said they still make it. So
yeah.
And I think Trade Fox has something like that too, because it popped up when I was looking at tools earlier. And I think Trade Fox makes everything, or they take everybody's idea and make it, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think they make one too. I don't know what it's called, but it's the same idea where I don't know if it has the built-in fuse and stuff like that, a resettable fuse, but I would assume it does, or why wouldn't it?
Well, you see, you get when I first started it, that was a tool I got because low voltage shorts, they would drive you nuts. And it's, it's always late at night that you get them, that it's like the worst call when you're on call and it's dark. Yeah, it's late at night, or on the weekend, and they're stacking calls on you, and you're trying to figure out what's shorted. And when I first started, so that ZebraStat came in clutch. So anything that can help diagnose thermostat wire or low voltage shorts, I think are great tools.
Yeah, that's the worst. I think I don't know. I think it was me and Ralph talking back in the day, thinking about what was the most headache, and low voltage short was right up there at the top.
Yeah.
Because you never know. Because, wires, found wires that are rubbing against metal, and the unit vibrates and they're not rubbing against metal anymore. But then they rub against metal again the next week, that sort of thing.
The worst low voltage short I had was I had one. It took me 5 hours to find. It drove me nuts. It was a old carrier unit where they had the screws that come from the inside of the unit back out for the electrical panel.
Yeah.
And this thing would run for like 10 minutes and it blows, and then the contactor would pop out. It was like, okay. So I tore the whole outdoor unit apart looking for this thing. I couldn't find a short anywhere. And if I didn't run the unit, it didn't short out. So you pull the high voltage and you're waiting for 10 minutes and you're like, man, I can't get this thing to short. So I was digging in this thing and it got dark. And because the sun started to set, I was running it and I saw the spark. And what it was is those little white top hat crimp connectors.
Yeah.
This thing was sitting right on the end of that screw and it would vibrate for about 5-10 minutes. And then it would touch the end of that screw and knock the contactor out. And then it had to get dark for me to see that. And so that became, if I had a contactor pop out, and that's the first thing I looked at, because that one call, and I was on call, it was brutal. I had to call somebody else in because I was like, I got to find this short. I just can't let this guy, leave this guy and just be like, I'm sorry, you're out of luck.
Yeah, it's the worst because there's no good explanation. Said, well, you got a short in there. It's popping the fuse. Well, can't you find it? You don't want to be like, no, I'm not good enough to find your short.
Yeah, so I had to call a technician to run the other calls because I was like, man, I got to find this thing. I don't know. It's just driving me absolutely insane.
Well, they can go change the run caps for a while and you can figure that one out. The other 90% of the calls that are repetitive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty good, man. I like that. You got the subco there and some bonus short stuff. And that's a good wisdom for hopefully people listening here, especially the younger guys.
Oh yeah,
and girls.
Well, the thing is like you get customers that they'll complain about some young guy came out there, and I'll be like, look, everything I know about air conditioning, somebody taught me.
Right.
I was once that young guy.
Yeah.
I was once that young guy.
Customers are always receptive for that answer. Like, we don't care. Or they'd be like, yeah, I understand. Sometimes customers just don't care. It don't matter. They're just built to not care. They, the people that return their food every time they eat at the restaurant, they're we all know who they are. But, well, thank you, Craig. I appreciate that, man. I'm going to hit a few more of these tools. And that was some good information right there. I'm going to have to clip that. It'll be in a video later this week, I'm sure.
Okay. Hey, listen, I appreciate it, Zach. I hope you have a good night.
You too, Craig. Thanks, man.
Yep. Take care.
Bye. Well, that was our good buddy Craig Egan right there. I'm going to go over a few more of these tools. I know that we're going to have a call come in here, I think, in a second. But just hold off on that call just for a minute. We're going to go over a few more of these tools. There can't be that many left. And then if someone else wants to call in, they can, because I think we have a few more guys. If you want to call into this show, my email is in the description, zacharysewitt@gmail.com or hvacshoptalk@gmail.com. Just send me an email saying I'd love to call into the show. Right now, we're not just giving the number out. Eventually, probably will. But for right now, because, you get some random stuff when you put the number on the screen. You get, and someone calls in, it'll be like, you don't want the bank calling. You know what I'm saying? It'd be embarrassing. We don't want that. So, you know what I mean? You guys feel me right. So let's get back to Amazon here for a second. All right, back to Amazon. The next thing is, you know what? The DeWalt Impact Ready 1.5 inch. It doesn't really matter, all this stuff. Just a 90-degree drill attachment. None of us are carrying 90-degree drills. All right, no one uses a 90-degree drill enough to carry it with us anywhere. So having one of these little attachments to get to some of those screws that are a pain in the butt, it's just a nice thing to have. And it might as well be impact ready or supposedly impact ready. Some of these things, they don't really last. They're not the hardiest gears inside here. So you lose a lot of torque and they heat up quite a bit, and sometimes they just don't last. So DeWalt's typically pretty good for this sort of thing. A good tool to have, get you out of a jam. That one's pretty self-explanatory, so we're going to just keep on rolling because how long have we been rolling on this thing? Probably like an hour. It's almost an hour. And this is one of my favorites. All right, this is the Malco TS1 Turbo Shear, 20 gauge capacity sheet metal cutting attachment. Because a lot of times we don't want to buy like a shear, like a cordless shear or any other plug-in shear. We don't want that, but we still need to cut the metal every now and then. So it's nice to have something that cuts it really smoothly, and it's not a pain in the butt at all. And that's what the Malco TS1 is. Basically, you hook up your drill to this thing. There's a handle on top, and it cuts like butter. It's really, really nice. I actually think I won one of these from East Coast years ago, and it's just awesome. It's just a nice tool to have if you have to do sheet metal. If you're never doing sheet metal, I guess you don't need it. But it seems like no matter if you're a tech or you're an installer, every now and then you're doing some sort of sheet metal. Sometimes you help out an install crew and you're making a duct hood or a piece of duct work. It's nice to have this because we used to do a lot of that stuff on site. So it's nice to have one of these things. Jessica says you don't need this in Florida. That's pretty funny because I'm sure you are right. You don't need this in Florida because it doesn't cut ductboard. That's funny. Floridians, look away. All right, here we go. Just between me and you guys, I think Klein is fantastic. I love Klein tools, made in the USA. This is just a full set of the pliers, but the main one that I like is the crimping pliers, which are right here on the screen. You can see them. They're the third one up high there. For wire crimping and cutting, these things are great. You ever put on these little Staycon terminals? These are great crimpers. If you try to use side cutters or something like that, you can get the job done, but a lot of times it doesn't make a good crimp, and it might be apt to slip out at one point or just be a loose connection, which is never good because you're doing high voltage and low voltage, and you could have some wire you're crimping that has significant amperage flowing through it, that if you don't use a good crimper and you have a loose connection, it's going to cause problems for you down the road. Now, all these different things here, we got cable cutter. I didn't really use the cable cutter a whole lot. We have side cutters. The side cutters are great. I'd say yes on the side cutters for our business. I'd say yes on the crimpers. Didn't use the diagonals a whole lot, but needle nose, yes. Needle nose are good. And I'll show you guys one more thing because, needle nose are good, but this next thing I have here is even better. Let's see. The next one was, and these are just Work Pro brands. So these are cheapies. But having these long needle nose pliers that are straights, 45-degree tips, and 90-degree tips, those are things that I used a whole lot as a service tech. I use them to pull off terminals. When you have like the same Staycon terminals that you use those crimpers for, a lot of times you'll be working in the back of a cabinet and you have to put these terminals on and take them off. And these pliers come in really, really handy. So you wouldn't have to technically buy the most expensive pair because you wouldn't be using them near as much as you use the Klein stuff. But I think these are a great thing to have. I actually had ones from Harbor Freight that I used for a long time. So I guess they were Pittsburgh brand and they lasted a long time for me. I liked them just fine. So you can get an expensive pair if you want to, but on these, I just got something cheap. These Work Pros come with some sort of bag you can roll them up in or something. I don't know. That's pretty good right there. Let's see here. We have a straight needle nose, and these are 11 inches long. So being a decent length is good. 10, 11 inches is good. And then you see this guy pulling wires and stuff with them, but it's Staycons. Staycons were the thing. Pulling those things out, they come in super, super. Oh, Clint says it's a good price on the Kleins too. I didn't even really notice the price, actually. I'll probably check that out. Kleins can get pretty expensive. They ain't like buying Work Pro. So $20 a count, yeah, that is pretty good when you think about what you're getting there because all those cost more than $20. I'm not sure the exact cost on each one, but I bet they're closer to $30 to $40 per each one of those. Man, oh man. Let's see. Go back to chat for a second because I think we have interesting chats happening right now. Randy says, I'm a Klein fan. Hey, I'm a Klein fan too. Truck guy, hey, Doug. It's Doug, everybody. Hey, you dudes need to write to the government and push the repeal of the AIM Act, pull out of the Montreal Protocol Act, make R22 and R12 great again. I like that. We're not going to go to R22. We're going all the way back to R12. And we're bringing back R500, guys. It's going to be go time. I like it, Doug. I like it, Doug. Let's see if we can get it done. Let's see. Randy says angled needle nose are good. Hey, they're real good. You want to have those, especially as a service tech. They come in real handy. Let's see what else I got up here. Oh, yeah, little popper. You know what? We're not going to do the little popper because we talked about the zebra stat already. Little popper is just another thing for checking shorts. It's basically you hook it up, and if it trips, you don't blow a fuse. It's a resettable fuse. That's what the little popper is. So it's a lot like what we talked about already. So I'm going to skip past that. The next one we really don't have to click on either because we all know what it is. You don't have to buy a Klein, But there's Klein, there's Malco that has these reversible little 1/4 inch and 5/16 nut drivers that click into your drill and impact driver. You know what? These are fantastic. Now, and what's nice is you can take the little piece off and clean the magnet off, which is something that you can't do on those god-awful regular ones, because you get something stuck in there. It'd take an act of Congress to get something out of that chuck. It'll just stick in there forever. It's very difficult. You used to use tape, used to run it and try to scoop stuff out while it was running. But these are great because you can actually clean them, and you have the 1/4 and 5/16, which is what we use almost every day. So it's really, really nice. Now, the next one here, and I have the chair up front, so we're wrapping up here. Okay. This is just a cheap, and the reason why I wanted to click on this is a K-type thermometer, has 2 ports here, 2 pipe clamps that come with it. You know, we all think about having to have these nicest tools possible, but a lot of times a guy can't afford all those tools. You know, it's just pipe dreams. You see guys on YouTube say, you can buy this, this, and this. And he's like, well, I add it all up, and I definitely cannot do that. But if you want to keep it simple, you can still do a good job. You can still get all the measurements you need. It's just going to be a little bit, you have to put some stuff together on your own as far as adding things up. But these right here are just nice little pipe clamps. They hook up to this K-type thermometer. You can put one on the liquid line, one on the suction line. You have your 2 temperatures. You can calculate subcooling. Even if you don't have digital gauges, you can get analog gauges as long as you have ones that reflect the refrigerant you're using. And you can get your subcooling and superheat. And once you calculate it, you can pretty much know if you stray too far away from it. It's not real time exactly because you have to keep calculating it. But once you know where you're at, you can kind of calculate the subtle differences on the fly. So it's a good thing to have. It's better than having just nothing and saying, well, if I can't afford it, I'm not going to have nothing. This is a good thing to do, and you can do a good job with this. Any one of these cheap ones, you know, they may be a little bit less accurate. So the nicer one you get, but when you get real nice, you might as well get the Job Link set or something like that, which is where I'm going to next. Because to do a good job, you need some sort of reading from your return air and your supply air. So if you can calculate superheat and subcooling, that's great, but it's just part of what you need. What's even more important a lot of the time is your return air, dry bulb and wet bulb, or relative humidity, and your supply air, dry bulb and relative humidity, because that'll tell you a lot about what your split's supposed to be and what the condition of your blower speed is. Is it too high, too low? It tell you a lot of things about the system. Is the system too restrictive? Is the filter too restrictive? You can get a lot of hints based on these numbers, and you really won't know what to expect from, especially your air split, unless you have these readings, especially on the return side. If you can only do one, doing the return side helps. Then you can do a dry bulb thermometer in the supply side. But if you use these wireless ones, you could be down at the unit with your other stuff, which is low tech, so to speak, you know, just like we just saw. And you can add these higher tech things and read them off an app while you're doing your stuff outside. So in that way, you can have everything there at once. So you may not get JobLink. I mean, you can get YJack stuff. It's just I couldn't find YJack on Amazon Prime. So I bought JobLink because I know a lot of guys use JobLink. Testo's, you know, range is not as good, but, you know, you get JobLink, YJack, the UEI stuff, then you're going to have good range. You should be good to go. So this is just something to think about. This will be the most expensive thing, part of this rig, but I mean, you have to have this information. Now you can do non-wireless. You can take a hygrometer and put it up there, a digital in the return and supply, and just kind of walk up there and see. But, you know, there are subtle differences in time. As time goes by, those are going to change based on the humidity change in the house. So I like to have that real-time look at the airflow based on these readings, rather than keeping walking back and forth and looking at them and then walking back outside. I just think it's better to do it wireless on the air side. And last but not least, we have the car seat. Now let's see. I can't remember, where's his name at? Tiki Chicken something another. Tiki Chicken. Hold on. I'm going to go over there and see what your name is. I lost it somewhere. Come on, Tiki Chicken Man, dingo. I don't know. Tiki Flamingo Chicken. I found it. Tiki Flamingo Chicken said about this seat. I don't know if the seat he's talking about, but he said it was $100. This seat's $100. cooling car seat cover with massage. Now, I don't know if they need massage or not. 12 volt to 24 volt cooling car seat cushion for summer driving. 8 turbo fans, ventilated AC seat cover for SUV truck, universal fit. Well, universal fit's going to definitely work for everybody. And Tiki Chicken said his work. Look at that lady, pretty happy right there. She feels real comfortable. She's never worked outside a day in her life. So I don't know. That might not be a universal joy. Here's all the wonderful features it has for $99. Tiki Chicken, you still here? Jessica says definitely need a massage. That's funny. That's a trip. Clint says make sure you disconnect for board on both ends. I think y'all talking about the method out there. Fantastic. Everybody's learning a lot today. That's the last item I have on the list right here. I mean, if anybody else wants to call in real quick before we end the show, we can do that. Here I am back over here in person. I'll wait a couple minutes for that. And then I'm going to go about my business. So we're going to wrap this thing up because we're over an hour right now. And we're going to finish things up. I'm going to, let's see, I don't know what time it is. I don't have my watch on, but it's like 10 o'clock probably, 10:07. So yeah. Jackson, my youngest son, the last of 4 children, is going into 2nd grade. He starts tomorrow. So we're going to walk him into school. I think he's going to be fine. He had his hair cut today. He's not a huge fan of school. He's similar to me in the fact that he thinks school is boring. And that's what he says. I'm not a school person. I never was a school person. I did good in school, for whatever reason, for the most part, until I, got old enough to go to parties and stuff. And then my school grades suffered because I enjoyed going to parties on the weekend and drinking the beers and having a good time. And that cost me some academic standing. I slipped down, but I was still a Marshall and an honor graduate from a high school located in the middle of nowhere. So, all right. Hey, Ted's here. Ted said, I hated school and haircuts. Yep, never liked it. Glad I'm not there. Sometimes I have a dream where I'm back in school and it irritates me because I don't like it to begin with. It's like, what am I doing back in school in the dream? It's like when I wake up, I'm like, oh, thank God. I never wanted to be here. I think it's boring too, but I can't tell him that. Can't tell Jackson that, 2nd grade is not worth it because he's got to be there. He's got to finish out the road and he'll be good to go. Before you know it, he'll be all grown up too. I can't believe he's already 7 years old. For those of you who've watched the show for a long time, can remember when he was born, it seemed like, yeah, I was streaming before he was born. 7 years old. That's how long this thing's been going on. So it's a year-round school. Sam's asking school in July. Year-round schools, they have a different schedule. What he does is they have school, and it's in 4 segments with 3-week breaks in between each segment. And then after, just for summer break, it's like 5 weeks. So it's just slightly longer. I'm here watching from PCB. We traveled. Huh? All right. What's up, Carver? I'm thinking that, doing the show on Sunday night seems to be a good fit for me. I like that. 9 o'clock. I'd like to do one more show per week because I enjoy this and it's a lot of fun for everybody involved. So maybe Wednesday night I'll be back. Haven't decided for sure. I'll talk to my wife, communicate with my friends and family and my pets about it. But I'm thinking Wednesday night. So stay tuned. I'll put it up as soon as I figure out which day it's going to be. I like 2 shows per week. I think that's a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here, I think, because no one has called in, and I'm not going to accept any more calls now. That's been long enough. I'm going to get out of here. Let me make sure I have the right button. Thank you, everybody, for watching. God bless all of you, and I'll see you in a few days. Take care.